Hey, I said goodbye to Florida last month in September. I'm back in the state where I've probably lived the longest. I've definitely lived here the longest, and where I went to school. See my face. It's okay. I wanted to ask you guys a question about using stars, because you know in the Quran it's like mentioned, stars are probably mentioned over a dozen times in different contexts. Well, I want to know about using the stars like to guide you. There's this ayah that says you use the stars, and God has created the stars for humans to use for guidance on land and on sea. And I think that's probably the tajweed. The tafsir behind it has to do with navigation. But I wonder too if there are any people out there who thought maybe it had to do with, I don't know, I think they call them horoscopes or zodiacs nowadays. But I wondered, I already know the ruling on horoscopes in Islam, like you're not really supposed to take it seriously and things like that. But I guess my question is, why not, when it says like the stars are used systematically, and that they all have their own orbit and they all have their own path and direction. So I just kind of wondered, I always have these questions, and like I feel like maybe scholars will get frustrated with me. In the past they have, when I used to attend conferences, and I'd always be the person who would write out the note. I would never raise my hand. I would write it down. It would be super long, and I would sneak it in there, and then they would I could tell whenever they opened my note, because they were like, oh, ya Allah. But generally they would try to answer my question, but what would happen is it wasn't, the question I put forth really wasn't answered. They kind of either didn't get it or didn't want to get into it. So either way, I kind of left feeling, I always left conferences and stuff feeling like, God, how come they don't get me? You have to understand, like I have to get these questions answered, otherwise I'm going to have to go out into the world and discover it on my own, the answers to these questions. So I've always felt like that, except probably once or twice. And I can name the person, the scholar or the imam, but I won't. Maybe I'll do that in another video. He's pretty cool, but I think he's kind of controversial for a few reasons. You can't get anything from, you can't get everything from one person. That's what I'm realizing. But anyway, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on stars and horoscopes and zodiacs. And I wanted to know why, when you take at the Quran and you take the ayat that mention stars in context, does it not imply that stars can be used because they're their own orbit and they have their own order, and all of that is for a reason? And if that's the case, then wouldn't it make sense that someone who was born under a certain star or in a certain month, they may have all the attributes of, let's say, whatever horoscope that they are, or many of the attributes, without like sticking to it too religiously, but just kind of saying loosely, people born under this month or star may have some of these characteristics. So if you have any insight into the matter, just go ahead and leave a comment. I read all my comments. They trickle in on probably the Prophet Muhammad video the most, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and on the Rainbow Quran review as well. And I'm going to respond to your Anoder's comment there. I'm so sorry, I forgot with the move and everything. But anyway, I'm back home, and I said bye to Orlando, and here's to a new beginning.